You ever think you're just running late? Rolling through your morning in cruise control, and then one tiny flicker of red and blue flips your whole life upside down? Yeah, that happened. I was 2 blocks from my turn, coffee barely cool enough to sip, when those sirens flared behind me like trouble was just waiting for me to slip up. I eased to the curb, kept my hands at 10 and 2, you know the drill. I've done this before, more times than I care to admit, and every time it feels like holding my breath underwater, just waiting to see which way it'll go. That morning, Officer Dana Reeves stepped out of her cruiser swaggering like she'd already written the ending to my story, her hand resting a little too casual on her holster, eyes scanning me like I was both the suspect and the punchline. She didn't say good morning, didn't even ask how I was. She just narrowed those eyes and said, "You know why I stopped you?" I met her gaze, steady as I could, told her I didn't, asked her to enlighten me. She claimed I'd drifted over the line without signaling routine, right? License, registration, the works. But the way she lingered on my name, Naomi Ellis, like she was testing it on her tongue. "Where you headed?" "Work." "What kind of work?" I just said, "The kind that keeps people like you from crossing the line." Maybe I shouldn't have, but the words came out cool as ice. That set her off. She scribbled on her pad, muttered something about you people, like I was a problem that needed fixing. I asked her to repeat herself, but she doubled down no apology, just a tight little smile. She took my papers and walked back to her car, and I could see her checking my name, turning it over like a bad penny. I watched her through the mirror, saw her jaw clench as she typed something out. Obstruction non compliant ostile. She was building a case right there on the sidewalk, all because I didn't shrink. She handed me the ticket with a smirk, told me it could have been easier. Easier for who? I shot back, calm as ever. "Hope you got a good lawyer," she said, like that was some kind of threat. I told her I didn't need one. "I know the law better than you think." That stopped her cold. For a split second, I saw doubt flicker in her eyes. But she just turned, marched off, and that was that, or so I thought. That night, I got the email formal complaint, civil suit, the whole 9 yards. She accused me of emotional distress, intimidation, all dressed up in legalese so heavy you could barely lift it. I read it once, twice, 3 times. Didn't feel anger, just inevitability. I turned to my dad's old photo on the Mantella federal judge who'd face down worse, and I whispered, "Looks like I'm about to make you proud." Meanwhile, Dana was in her apartment, rewriting her statement over and over, trying to make herself the victim, calling up her old buddy Kyle from the academy. He tried to talk her down, told her she was letting pride get in the way, but she was set. Filed the suit, told herself it was about dignity, but really, it was about control. At the precinct, she bragged to her partners, mocked the way I stayed so calm, but one off-carry younger Latina named Torres looked at her like she'd seen something she didn't like. Later, I learned Torres sent a quiet text to a contact. "You should see this. Call me." The system, it turns even when you don't see it. My young associate, watching me read the complaint that night, asked if we should go public blow it up in the media. I shook my head. No need. Not yet. When people mistake silence for weakness, they always overplay their hand. And sure enough, Dana did. See, what she didn't know was that 3 years earlier, I'd crossed paths with her before. Back when I was a junior prosecutor in Atlanta, Dana's precinct was under federal review for excessive force, for falsifying reports. I'd pushed for discipline, not indictment, believed she could change. She never knew my name, just another paper pusher in a Navy suit, but I'd seen her then, cocky, defensive, desperate to prove herself, even if it meant stepping over the line. My niece asked why I didn't just crush her in court, why I didn't reveal who I was at the traffic stop. I told her about my dad, how he was humiliated by an officer in public, never pressed charges, just carried it quietly. Power isn't about striking back, I said. It's about holding the mirror long enough for others to see who they really are. The day of court arrived. Dana walked in, suit pressed, all confidence, even pausing for the cameras outside. She really thought the system was built for her. Inside, I sat alone at the defense table. No legal team, no entourage. Just me, a navy dress, and a folder. When the judge asked if I'd represent myself, I nodded. Didn't need to explain. The room felt that shift, a different kind of defendant. Not nervous, just steady. There was a man in the back row, looked like an intern but watched everything. Even Dana noticed, stiffened a bit. The hearing moved, quick. Plaintiff's team asked for traffic footage. I didn't object. Then Dana, as she brushed past me, tried one last dig. I've been in this system longer than you've been tying your shoes. I looked at her, real slow, and said, then you should know better than to underestimate silence. In that moment, she realized maybe she wasn't holding the card she thought. When the real trial began, I brought my folder, quoted federal code, like Poetry Title 42, Section 1983, laid out case precedent, calmly, methodically. Then I slid a document onto the table. Dana's old disciplinary record, public but buried, proof she'd done this before. Cops can hide a lot, but not forever. Dana freaked, shouted it was irrelevant. Judge shut her down. The press started shifting, reporters whispering they'd framed the wrong hero. Headlines changed by lunch to minnow more loudmouth defendant. Now, it was federal prosecutor exposes pattern in officer's past. Turns out, the man in the gallery wasn't an intern, was my junior from the U.S. Attorney's Office, quietly backing me up. I didn't need him to take over. I just needed him to bear witness. In the next round, I dropped the real bomber redacted internal affairs report about Dana's use of excessive force in 2015. I declined to press charges then, thought she deserved another chance. Now I saw I'd been wrong. The judge went pale, court went silent. Dana's wife stood up, walked out without a word. Dana was left alone, unraveling in real time. By the end of that day, the judge was done playing. He told Dana flat, ouch, weaponize the courts. But now the system was turning on her. I never had to shout, never had to gloat. My silence was louder than any verdict. Media tried to turn me into a hero. I ignored them, sat in my garden, watched the bees, told my niece, I didn't do this to be heard. I did it so she could hear herself. Justice is about reminding people who they are. My colleagues pushed me to file criminal charges, said Dana deserved to pay. I said, she's already lost more than any court could take: her wife, her friends, her reputation. That's a longer sentence than prison. A week later, I got an email: Dana, alone on a couch, apologizing on camera, asking for forgiveness, trying to rewrite her story for the world now that the world had stopped clapping. I didn't respond, didn't save it. My sister asked if I thought Dana would ever change. I said, if she apologizes again, she'll be apologizing to herself. That's the only judge left. After the trial, Dana waited for me in the hall, hoping for a different ending. I gave her a mirror, a declination laterno charges, just the truth. You'll never stand trial in court. You already have somewhere worse. She cried for real that time. Asked why I spared her. I said, because I had to decide who I wanted to be. I chose not to become you. Justice doesn't walk away. It walks forward. And that's the truth. I came back to my office, opened the blinds, let the sun hit my father's photo. The world kept spinning, headlines moved on, but dignity, the kind my dad showed me, it stays. My new intern asked if I'd ever lost a case. I handed her a file about a man wrongly accused because someone thought silence meant guilt. She didn't get it yet, but one day she will. The mirror still sits on my desk, not for checking makeup, but to remind me, the real verdict is seeing yourself as you are. Justice isn't a finish line. It's a direction. So, let me ask you, what do you do when the system breaks? Do you fight it, risk becoming the very thing you're trying to fix? Or do you hold up a mirror and let the truth speak for itself? If this story struck something in you, if it made you question right, wrong, or the space in between, share your thoughts below. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's keep this conversation going. Because sometimes the loudest truths are the ones we live, not the ones we shout.
Xin chào các bạn, mình là Trinh, mình phụ trách viết content. Trên đây là những công việc của mình là mình lên mạng xã hội tìm.
Vamos supor, você falou negócio sério. It is cold, yeah. Next one, let somebody know, please.
After the tree to hold on to.
Yeah, these are use the pen.